There are 12 ways, actually probably more than that, that women will emotionally abuse you. This happens to a lot of men. That's what I'm going to cover in this video. These 12 ways women are emotionally abusing men, and see these 12 things as potential red flags when you're dating somebody, because it may come up and it's a slippery slope, and you guys are going to get yourself in a very toxic situation if you're not aware of these 12 things. So keep watching. In my personal opinion, number 10 is the one that has happened to me many times, and I'll explain that one. So keep watching. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kane. I'm the Silver Bachelor. This channel is 100% dedicated to dating advice for older guys. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and a notification button, because I'm dropping a video every day. All right, let's just get into this. All right, number 1, she's emotionally abusing you if she mentions things like you don't make enough money. Oof, that one's a kick in the balls, okay? Do not tolerate that. If she says that, then I recommend you basically exit that situation, because no woman should say you don't make enough money. Well, okay, how much are you making, bitch? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Us guys run this world. We run the infrastructure. We run the machinery, the food, the construction, everything. And you know what? My heart goes out to the men that are hanging off of buildings, washing those windows, to the men working in freezing cold, in the rain, getting dirty, getting wet, getting stinky, all these things, putting their lives at risk. Women are not doing that, okay? To give you some statistics, only 5% of the staff on oil rigs are women, right? Only 5% of military, the soldiers, only 5% are, firefighters. Firefighters, only 5% of firefighters are women. Now you're probably wondering, what about emergency services like police and military? Well, that's like 10%, maybe 15% tops. Women don't want these jobs. They don't want to put their lives at risk. They don't want to be cold. They want to be comfortable. So who the hell are they complaining when the guy is hustling? And you know what? I met very few men that are not hustling with multiple things that they're doing on the side hustles. They're driving Uber. They make $30,000 per year, let's say, but that's not enough. So they drive Uber. They're working 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And yet these women have the gall to say, oh, you don't make enough money? Well, yeah, okay, honey. Well, why don't you try bringing in the bacon? So that's number 1. Whew, get on a rant on that one. But that one I do not tolerate. Well, I'm not in that category. I make good money, but I was there, man. I was there like you are maybe right now, not making very much. You just keep pushing, keep building up these side hustles, and don't listen to these women. And especially run when they say that. Number 2, you have small hands. I'm glad you have small hands, or anything about your hands which make your hands look small. That's a sneaky thing that women may do. That has never happened to me, maybe because I have big hands for my size, I don't know. But if you hear anything like that, ooh, you are now talking to a master manipulator. I've like I said, I've not encountered that, but that is one thing I've heard of, ways that women can bring down men's self-esteem and emotionally abuse them. So number 2, you have small hands. Number 3, you have a small dick. Okay, maybe you do have a small dick. I don't know. I mean, average size is like 6 inches, 5 inches, whatever, depending on the country. But who cares? Right? Like, imagine if you said to a woman she has small tits, she would freak, right? So don't tolerate that shit. Maybe you have a small penis. There's not much you can do about it, but if she's into you, the small penis is not going to matter, okay? Number 4, you smell. And I'm not talking about you smell good, right? All right, in fairness, maybe you do have some odor, but this is a sneaky thing. Most men, I would assume, take a shower before you go out on a date. And if you're not doing that, man, you need to up your hygiene game. Make sure your hygiene is on point. Don't overdo the cologne. But if she's saying anything like you smell or you have a strong odor, anything like this. Again, if she's into you, she's not going to care, okay? So that's number 4. Number 5, this could be true. But again, these are just little sneaky things, one little thing building on another thing, on another thing, on another thing, and all of a sudden you are a doormat. That's what I'm trying to get to, guys. Be aware of these things. Number 5, you have bad skin, right? So maybe you've been in the sun too long, your skin looks kind of leathery. I've seen this on a lot of white guys where their skin's kind of a reddish tone because maybe they have high blood pressure. I don't know, but their skin's not that great. Maybe they're very wrinkly, whatever. But again, it's just being aware of these sneaky little things that they just add. Basically, you know what it is? It's shit tests, and they want to see how much they can get away with. And the more they get away with, the less interested they're going to be in you, and they're going to check out, okay? So number 5, you have bad skin. Number 6, you have bad teeth. Maybe you do have shitty looking teeth, right? Like, okay, look, my teeth are not perfect. Some of my teeth on the bottom are crooked. I have pretty straight teeth on the top. But in general, like, that's just insulting, okay? So just be aware of that. And if you do have bad teeth, guys, you have yellow teeth, get those fixed. Whiten your teeth, use white strips, whitening toothpaste, whitening mouthwash. Like, make sure your mouth looks really good because she's not gonna wanna kiss you otherwise. All right, so that's number 6. Number 7, and this definitely applies to me. I am 5'7", and if a woman ever says, oh, you're short, right? I don't think this has ever happened to me, but I get it. You guys, maybe you meet on a dating app, right? And she doesn't really pay attention to your height because most dating apps, they show how tall you are or whatever. Or maybe she's a treat, right? Maybe she's 5'10" or taller. And all of a sudden you meet the first time and she says something like that. Oh, you're shorter than I expected, or you're short. Ooh. That is a huge red flag, and I would bounce out of that because she's just being a bitch. So that's number 7. Number 8, this also applies to me. You're old. Well, okay, fair. If you're not in your if you're older than 35, you're now considered old, past your prime. I get it. Not very many athletes are an athlete after 35. Well, I'm not in my 30s, I'm not in my 40s. I've now ticked past into my 50s. And some women, the only time I've ever had this one mentioned to me, though you were just old or whatever, is when they've fucked up on something, they've canceled plans, they've just been unreliable. I've had to check their behavior in a respectful way and in a nice way, but firm. Well, I've done many videos on this. I've covered this topic that women in general do not want to take responsibility. They don't want to take accountability. They will gaslight you. They will blame you for their bad behavior. They'll say, well, maybe if you haven't done that, I wouldn't have said this. Oh, really? Okay. So anytime I've had a woman try to attack me and say something vile like that and say, well, you're just an old man or something, it's because I've had to check their behavior. They can't take accountability and they lash out because nobody says those things to them. Nobody checks their behavior. Well, I check women's behavior, and that's usually one of the things that they say when they react to me, checking what they've done. You're too short, or you're old. That's number 8. Number 9, you're too nice. This one is a little debatable. But in general, again, just be very careful of those little things. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Number 10, I want to speed this along, so I'm going to wreck your time. Number 10, you're insecure. This is the one I mentioned earlier. That is the biggest one I've had. Again, when I check behavior, there's one woman specifically that I dated where every time she started drinking and she got drunk, she started flirting with other guys right in front of me, right? The first time that happened, I didn't say anything right then because she was drunk. The next day, I brought it up and I said, look, men have lizard brains. When you give men attention, they think you're interested in them. So they think you're flirting with them. And of course, she didn't want to take accountability, responsibility. And she said, well, maybe you're just insecure. And I said, well, then you shouldn't date an insecure man. And I basically was ready to leave. And she's like, whoa, I didn't really mean it that way. And this happened one more time. And then that's where I really laid the law down. I'm like, look, I'm not going out with you anymore. especially when you're drinking, if you're going to keep this up, because I can't stand it. And that's just a respect thing. That has nothing to do with insecurity. But again, you see how women, they will flip the words around, try to gaslight you and make it seem like it's your fault for them being a bitch and acting inappropriately. So that's number 10. Number 11, you're immature. Okay, so I have had this a couple of times where, again, I check the behavior. And this has happened to me not that many times, but a woman will say something like, oh, you're 40 something or you're 50 something, but yet you have the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old. Okay. So I'm immature because I'm checking your behavior. Guys, this is the point I'm trying to make. Women just cannot accept responsibility and accountability. You hear any of this shit, you bounce, okay? Or you very sternly say, look, this isn't gonna work because your attitude sucks and I don't like where this is going, and you have to check that behavior, because otherwise, like I said, they'll just get away with it, and all of a sudden now you're a doormat and they can't stand you, okay? And this has happened in many, many marriages. Maybe you're in that marriage right now where she just sees you as a doormat, and I'm sorry if that's what you're going through, but it's all these little things that you've allowed her to do over time. And last one, when they say, oh, you should date somebody around your age. Well, that's coming from a place of insecurity, that they don't like the fact you're dating younger women, and it's just an insult, and it's just another way that they were trying to emotionally abuse you. I'm being a little dramatic with the word emotional abuse. This is probably more a combination of some abuse, some shit test, whatever. But just wanted to, get this point across that if you're not careful, these things can very well turn into emotional abuse, especially when she sees you at a doormat. Appreciate all your time, man. We'll see you next time.